Welcome to James Cook University's International Student Pre-Departure Session. We are delighted to welcome you to JCU today, and we look forward to meeting you in person in the next few weeks. The purpose of this session is to give you all the information that you need to organise your studies at JCU and to travel safely to your new home in Townsville or Cairns. We're going to tell you about what you can expect in your first few days and some tips on finding off-campus accommodation. But just some housekeeping before we start today's session. A recording of this session will be available on the James Cook University website, so you'll be able to view it again and catch up on any of the information that you may have missed. All the information contained in this webinar is also available in our International Student Handbook, which you can find on our website. If you haven't accessed the International Student Handbook yet, I strongly recommend that you do so as soon as possible, as this handbook will have all of the information that you need about living in Australia, as well as how things work at JCU. You can ask questions anytime during this session by typing into the chat box on the bottom of your screen. It may take us a few minutes to get back to you with answers, so please wait for a response before reposting your question. There are some important terms that you'll hear throughout this session which you'll need to understand. When we say study abroad or exchange students, we're referring to students completing a 1 or 2 semester program at JCU before returning to their home universities to graduate. Full degree students include students completing a diploma, bachelor or masters by course at JCU. High degree students are students completing a masters by research or a PhD program. A mobility student is someone undertaking our inter-campus mobility program from Singapore. A COE refers to your confirmation of enrolment document, which you've been sent by our International Admissions Department. This is a document that you can use to apply for your student visa. OSHC is your Overseas Student Health Cover. It is a visa requirement that all international students studying on a student visa have OSHC for the entire duration of their student visa. The only exceptions to this are Norwegian and Belgian students who have a reciprocal healthcare agreement with the Australian government. When you see the letters DIBP displayed on screen, please understand that they stand for the Department of Immigration and Border Protection. And finally, for those students who are staying on campus, we will use the term RA, which means Residential Advisor. But to begin with, I would like to introduce you to JCU. We are ranked in the top 4% of universities worldwide. We are a multi-campus university with campuses in Townsville, Cairns and Singapore, and an associate campus in Brisbane. Townsville is considered to be the unofficial capital of North Queensland. It has a population of around 200,000 people. The average temperature in summer is around 31 degrees, and winter can be around 25 degrees Celsius in the daytime and about 14 overnight. It has over 300 beautiful days of Australian sunshine per year, and our Townsville campus is located just 13 kilometres from the beach. Cairns is one of Australia's most popular tourist destinations and has a population of around 153,000 people. It has similar temperatures to Townsville, but it does get a little bit more rain, being that it's located in the wet tropics. Our Cairns campus is located just 5 kilometres from the beach. We currently have over 18,000 enrolments, with over 5,000 international students from more than 100 countries. We have more than 200 programs available for our international students to study. Now I'd like to introduce you to our International Student Support Team on the Townsville campus. Once you arrive in Townsville, you'll see the smiling face of Marites Foraker, who's our Administration Assistant, Catherine Elliott, who is our International Student Support Officer, Alex Salvador, who takes care of our AusAid students or our Australia Award Scholars, and also Tom Bayliss-Hack, who's the manager of our International Student Support Team. Tom's actually here with us today and will be answering any of the questions that you post into the chat box. So Tom, would you like to jump on screen and say hello to everyone?
Thanks Louise, good to be here. And thank you everyone for joining us in this webinar. We want to ensure that you get the most out of this, so feel free to ask any questions you may have. Don't worry if you think they're too simple or a silly question. We've heard it all before, believe me. When you ask a question that relates to information Louise is going to talk about, I'll save all of those questions to be answered together. As Louise said, you can ask the questions in the chat box on the lower right hand side of your screen. Thank you, and back to you, Louise.
Thanks, Tom. So at our Cairns campus, you'll be able to meet Anna Bilatovsky, who is our administration assistant, Christine Martin, who is the international student advisor, and Heather Paris-Kidd, who is the manager of the international office up in Cairns. We also have a number of our student volunteers with you today. Now, these volunteers are current JCU students who will be sharing their experiences of living in Australia and studying at JCU. We'll let them introduce themselves now.
My name is Vanessa Dunbar. I'm doing my Graduate Diploma of Education and I'm from Canada.
Hi, I'm Leinar Natividad. I'm from Peru. I'm starting a PhD in Chemical Engineering at James Cook University in Townsville.
Emily Wood, Master of Arts.
I'm Jerry. I come from China. I'm currently doing PhD in Computer Science at James Cook University.
Hi, I'm Sifat Hussain. I'm from Bangladesh and I'm studying Bachelor at Law.
Thanks guys. So the International Student Support Team can assist you in a number of different ways. This includes assistance with orientation and with finding off-campus accommodation. We can also provide you with ongoing support if you have any welfare concerns or if you're just feeling a bit homesick, stressed or anxious. We can also help you if you're having any difficulties with your studies here at JCU. We also run a number of events throughout the semester, including barbecues, pool parties, beach trips and coffee catch-ups. So please remember to stop by and let us know all of the exciting things you've been doing. You can find out about our events by liking the James Cook International Facebook page. We're now going to hear from our student volunteers about how they felt prior to arriving in Australia.
Before I left home, I was really kind of nervous but excited at the same time. I'd never planned to spend so much time in a foreign country before, so it was really kind of a nervous feeling, but still really excited to get to live in a new place for an extended period of time.
I'm really excited because, before I come to Australia, then I heard lots of stories about Australia, how beautiful this place is, and the people are really nice. So I'm kind of excited to be here. And after I come here, it is the truth that we got so many friendly people.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, at the beginning, I felt a really big panic, but after that, I also feel a little more excited when the days were coming to the specific time. But when I arrived here, I was really comfortable because all the people are really nice, are really friendly. I can meet a lot of friends here.
Oh, I was very excited. I wanted to see and feel Australia, and I was in UK before and it was very cold over there, and when I heard it's like tropical place and the weather is excellent, sunny, so I couldn't wait to come and experience it. Yeah.
Well, my visa and my application got accepted right at the last minute, so I didn't have time to be nervous. I was pretty excited. I jumped on the plane within a couple weeks of getting my application sorted, so I was really excited.
There are a number of important dates that you need to be aware of. The International Student Welcome Session will be held on the 21st of July. This is a compulsory session for all international students. If you are unable to attend this session for any reason, please contact the International Student Support Team on your campus to make alternative arrangements for orientation. Orientation Week, or O Week, will be held from the 22nd to the 25th of July. You can find an Orientation Week guide on our website. This will provide you with all of the information about the really important academic sessions and all of the social events that will be happening during this week. For most students, the first day of classes will be the 28th of February. You must be in Townsville or Cairns, ready to commence your classes by this date. Please be aware that your exam period will be from the 8th to the 21st of November. JCU does not grant early exams, so make sure that you don't book your return tickets or any travel during the exam period. Some students may have exams scheduled outside of the exam period due to scheduling conflicts. So it's important that you check your exam timetable before organising your return flights or any travel. There are a number of things that you can do before you arrive in Australia to ensure a smoother transition. The first thing you'll need to do, if you have not done so already, is apply for your student visa. You can do this online at the Department of Immigration and Border Protection website, or your nearest Australian High Commission or Embassy will help you. Your student visa will have a variety of conditions attached. Please make sure that you understand your visa conditions prior to your arrival in Australia. Keep in mind that if your online visa application is lodged outside of Australia, you must also be outside of Australia when your visa is granted. If you're not planning to study on a student visa, please make yourself known to the International Student Support Team upon your arrival in Townsville or Cairns. We'll have a chat to you about your rights and responsibilities on this visa. So after you've organised your international student visa, you'll also need to organise your travel to Townsville or Cairns. Be aware that while your international flight may allow you 32 to 35 kilograms of baggage, your domestic flight may only allow you 20 kilograms of baggage. Excess baggage at the airport, purchasing excess baggage at the airport may be very expensive, so we recommend that you purchase any additional baggage you need prior to your departure. Make sure you pack photocopies of your flight tickets, passports, and other important documentation or valuables in your hand luggage. If you are one of the unlucky few and your baggage does go missing, you will need to speak to the staff at the baggage service counter at the airport. Please be aware that taking the bus or train from Sydney or Brisbane may be expensive and will be very time consuming. Townsville is about 16 hours from Brisbane by car, and Townsville is about 24 hours from Sydney by car. Cairns and Townsville are about 4 or maybe 5 hours away from each other by car. It may be cheaper and more time effective for you to fly to Townsville or Cairns. We may have organised OSHC Essentials cover on your behalf through our preferred provider, Allianz WorldCare. Before you arrive, you will need to read over your policy details carefully to make sure that this insurance package is right for you. Be aware that it doesn't cover optical, dental, or pre-existing conditions. Please note that your OSHC does not cover lost or stolen valuables, lost luggage, repatriation of remains, or anything like that. So you may want to investigate purchasing additional travel insurance for the duration of your stay in Australia. You'll also need to talk to your bank about the best way for you to access your money in Australia. Most of our students are able to access their funds in their home country through our ATMs, but you'll need to check whether this is possible for you with your bank. Visa and MasterCard are widely accepted, and American Express or Diners Club cards are accepted in some locations. Traveller's checks can be cashed at all major banks. Please be aware that there are no currency exchange facilities at the Townsville Airport, but you can exchange currency at local banks or currency exchange kiosks in the local shopping mall. We recommend that you do not carry large amounts of cash with you. If you're bringing children with you to Australia, we recommend that you make arrangements for childcare or schooling as soon as possible. Childcare in particular may be very expensive. Consult with the International Student Handbook on how you can make these arrangements. Tom, has anyone asked any questions about organising their arrival or their study in Australia?
Thanks, Louise. Yes, we have got some questions. The first one's from Christina, and she asks, what is census date about? That's a good question, Christina. Census date is the last day you can remove subjects without financial or academic penalty. So you have to have all your enrolment completely finalised by then. If you do drop a subject after that date, you will have to pay for that subject, and you'll have a fail result on your academic transcript. If you have any other questions about that, please email us. Second question is from Alexander, who asks, can I go to an embassy or Australian consulate for the visa? Different places around the world have different ways of getting Australian visas. So in some countries you will go to a high commission, some an embassy, and some of them have dedicated visa processing centres. If you want to know where you need to contact to get an Australian visa, go to the Department of Immigration website. It is www.immi.gov.au. In the background there's a big map of the world. If you click on that, you can click on your country and it will tell you how to apply for a visa. If you have any questions, please email us. Anna asks about getting exam results after you return home. So what I think she means is, as her exam results, or all of your exam results, will come out after the end of semester, what will happen if you failed? Now, you don't get to resit exams that you fail at JCU, so if you have failed, you can't organise another one. Unfortunately, you have failed. The results will be available on eStudent and on your official transcript after the results publication date. Louis asks, do we get a break from study? I'm an exchange student. Okay, Louis, so there's a lecture recess from the 29th of September to the 3rd of October in the middle of semester, and then there's study vacation from the 3rd of November to the 7th. And the study vacation is just before the exam period, so a lot of students use that to prepare for exams. You can do what you like with it, of course, but those are the dates. Madeline asks, how many copies of my passport should I bring? Well, bring the passport itself, of course, and it's good to have at least one copy. You may want to leave copies of all your important documents at home in case you lose them. You can get someone to send it to you. You could also scan and email yourself with all of the documents you may need. Then you'll be able to access it from anywhere in the world. Belle asks, how do I know what my OSHC covers? Does it cover dental work? Do I need more insurance? Okay, Belle, to check your policy document, you go to OSHC-ALLIANZ-ASSISTANCE.com.au. That's OSHC-AllianzAssistance.com.au. That link's on our website and in the International Student Handbook. You click OSHC information, then click policy, then click essentials. We've organised you OSHC essentials cover. This will bring up the policy document for the insurance you have. It details what is covered, what isn't covered, and any limits to coverage. As Louise mentioned before, dental is not covered, neither is physio or optical or any of those kind of things. But Allianz OSHC does offer extras cover, which will cover those things at an additional charge. There may be waiting periods though if you do get OSHC extras. Wilhelm asks, do I need to book the airport pickup and temporary accommodation if I'm living on campus? Yes, you can book an airport pickup if you're living on campus, not temporary accommodation though. Temporary accommodation is for students that are going to live off campus and need some time to work out where they're going to live. So when you do book the airport pickup, just put down where you want to go. So for instance, University Hall, and don't select temporary accommodation. This leads on to Marcus's question, which is, what do I do if my flight is delayed? Okay, so if you've arranged temporary accommodation or airport pickup, we need to know, because someone will be waiting there at the airport for you. So please contact us as soon as possible. If you're transiting through Brisbane or another Australian city, jump onto a computer and email international@jcu.edu.au. That will make sure that we can put the necessary changes in place. That's about it for now. If there are any more questions, please feel free to post them. I'll hand you all back over to Louise.
Thanks, Tom. In terms of organising your study at JCU, the first thing you need to do is set up your computer account. Your computer account gives you access to a number of JCU's online facilities, including your email account and internet access after you arrive on campus. To set up your computer account, you need to go to the JCU homepage and select the New Students tab at the bottom right-hand side of your screen. You then need to select the Accept and Enroll tab on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Then select I Am International. You then need to select Step 2, which is setting up your computer account. You can see that displayed now on screen for you. Next, you'll need to put in your student ID number. You can find this number on your COE document. You'll also need to enter your family name and your date of birth. You'll need to make sure that you enter your date of birth correctly, so that is day, month, year, with no dots or slashes in between. You will then be prompted to change your password straight away. Your password must be 8 characters long and contain at least one number and one capital letter. You will see a confirmation screen appear. Make sure that you take note of your JC number, your password and your email account. You'll use these all the time after you arrive on campus, and it can be a bit of a hassle to get this information again if you don't record it correctly. The next step is to plan your studies. If you're a study abroad or exchange student, you will already be enrolled in your top 4 subjects from your pre-approved subject list. If you wish to swap or change one of these subjects, you can do so via eStudent, which is our enrolment website. If you wish to add a subject to your pre-approved subject list, please send an email to our study abroad or an exchange team. Their email address is displayed on screen. Remember that it is your responsibility to make sure that any subjects that you study at JCU can be credited to your degree in your home country. Many of our subjects offer a fieldwork component which allows you to study in our beautiful natural environment and to gain some practical experience. Some examples of these type of subjects are displayed on screen. You can find out more about these subjects and what they involve on the JCU website. If you're a full degree student, you'll need to visit your online course enrolment planner to see what subjects you need to take and when you need to take them. You can find your course enrolment planner on the JCU website. Research students will need to see James Cook International staff upon their arrival to finalise their studies. Remember that you must be enrolled as a full-time student to finish your degree by the end date on your confirmation of enrolment. Extensions to your COE are only granted in very limited circumstances. If at any time you feel like you're not going to be able to finish by the end date on your COE, come and talk to us as soon as possible. In order to enrol in your subjects, you'll need to go to the eStudent website. From here, you need to follow a very simple set of steps in order to enrol in your subjects. If you have difficulty enrolling in your subjects, please go ahead and watch one of our handy enrolment help videos, or read the instructions on the website. You can also contact our enrolment help team via phone or email. If you're still having difficulty, don't panic. You can go to the James Cook Student Centre after your arrival for assistance with enrolling in your subjects. Keep in mind that your enrolment must be finalised by the 1st of August. We're now going to show you a really handy video for how you can read your JCU timetable.
You need to check your timetable to make sure you have no lecture clashes. You can also check your contact hours to help you organise and manage your studies. There are a couple of different formats for displaying the timetable depending on what you're after. In the web version, you can see all the subjects together, but it can be a bit full. The PDF version has individual subjects colour-coded for the class's type, so it is a bit easier to follow. Tutorials and workshops are normally offered more than once, so you mainly need to check for lecture clashes. To find out what attendance is required for each subject, check the contact hours. Contact hours are the hours spent in class, in tutorials, in lectures, or in workshops. You can find this information for each subject in Subject Search. Here's another tip. The main study periods are 13 weeks long, so 26 hours of lectures is 2 hours a week. Tutorials and workshops normally start in the second week of classes. You'll find out how to sign up for these at your first lecture.
With regards to what to bring to Australia, please be aware that the Australian Customs team are very strict. It has been said that Australia has the strictest customs team in the entire world. You must declare any food, animal or wood products that you are bringing into Australia. There are rubbish bins available at the airport terminal for you to dispose of any unwanted items before you pass through customs. You will be asked to complete a customs declaration form prior to entering Australia. Be aware that this is a legal document and heavy fines can occur if you provide false or misleading information to the Australian Customs team. You can find out more about what can and can't be brought into Australia at the Australian Customs website. Make sure you bring all of your important documentation with you to Australia. If you've been granted a conditional offer, don't forget to bring your original academic transcripts with you. You may also want to bring your letter of offer, a copy of your visa grant email, your medical records, and driver's license. Be aware that there are restrictions on the type of medication that you can bring into Australia. To check whether your medication may be on the prohibited imports list, please visit the Australian Customs website. The maximum amount of medication which can be brought into Australia is a 3-month supply. International prescriptions cannot be filled at Australian pharmacies or chemists. If you will require a refill of your medication while you're in Australia, you'll need to make an appointment with a local doctor. Please bring your medical history with you, as this should make it easier for your doctor to understand your condition and provide you with the medication that you require. You should make an appointment with an Australian doctor at least 1 month prior to your medication running out. Be aware that some brands and dosages of medication may not be available in Australia, and you'll need to work with your doctor to find a suitable alternative. You can bring a laptop computer with you to Australia, provided that you are intending to take it with you when you return to your home country. Otherwise, you may be asked to pay tax or duty on the item. You can buy most other items in Australia, although prices may vary from your home country. We do strongly recommend that you bring sun protection gear with you for your first few days, including a hat, sunscreen and sunglasses. Tom, did you want to talk about mobile phones in Australia?
Yes, Louise. This is a good chance to talk about mobile phones. So the Australian mobile phone network operates on the GSM 900/1800 frequency band. You should check your phone's instruction booklet or call the phone supplier to see if your handset is compatible. Now for people who are in America or the Americas, your network uses 1900 GSM as standard, so it may not work. But check your phone supplier to see if your handset is compatible. If your phone is marked as a GSM, tri-band or quad-band phone, there's a good chance that it will work. You'll also need to ensure your phone is not carrier locked if you wish to use it with an Australian SIM card. Many people choose to bring a phone from their home, like a smartphone, an Android or an iPhone or something like that, and get an Australian SIM card. Make sure the phone is not carrier locked, like I said, and you'll pay a small amount for an Australian SIM card and you can use it as a prepaid phone. Other people choose to buy a phone in Australia. You can buy a cheap mobile phone for about $30 or as cheap as $30 here in Australia, and you will need to buy extra credit for that as you use the credit. It's a good tip to write down all of your important numbers on a slip of paper and bring that with you, or even better, email it to yourself. Then you'll have all of your family and friends' phone numbers when you do get that phone set up. That's about it for phones. If you've got any questions about phones, pop them in the chat box. Back to you, Louise.
Thanks, Tom.
Probably my iPad because it's a lot lighter than lighter weight than my laptop, and I do a lot of reading for my major and a lot of studying, so ebooks are really good when you can't carry a lot of stuff.
That must be my laptop. You know, when I'm homesick, I can use my laptop to communicate with my friends at my hometown and my families. So, and also a laptop will benefit your study.
The most useful item was my laptop, my cell phone. Like always, check my all the numbers are okay. I've got in details, and also umbrella was very important. It was rainy when I came here.
Yeah, it's really funny the amount of things you accumulate in a year and a half, even in 6 months. And so I feel like some of the clothes that I brought, I could have just gotten here, or there's a few things I think, gosh, how am I going to get this home because I have so much stuff now.
The most useful item that I brought to Australia with me would be my costume. I was a bit discouraged before I came because I heard that they don't celebrate Halloween very much in Australia, but be forewarned that they dress up for everything. They dress up for weekends out, they dress up for pub crawls, they dress up for everything. So I ended up sending home for this. And that being said, also as far as footwear goes, at home I wear heels all weekend. My lifestyle hugely changed when I came here. Since coming to Australia, I've bought hiking shoes, I've bought 2 pairs of new trainers, and I've bought rock climbing shoes. So I'd be prepared for your lifestyle to change to be a very outdoor lifestyle if you're not used to that.
Now it's time to talk about organising your transport from the airport to your accommodation. If you're arriving at JCU during our arrivals period, which is from the 14th to the 20th of February, you are eligible for our free airport reception service. You will be met at the airport by our A team, that is, other JCU students who have volunteered to greet you and welcome you to Australia. They can also answer any questions that you may have about living in Australia, living in Townsville, living in Cairns, or studying at JCU. To sign up for this service, please complete the online booking form at least 2 weeks prior to your departure. Please contact us if you expect your flight to be delayed, or so that we can make sure that someone is there to meet you. If you're arriving outside of the arrivals period, you will need to arrange your own transport at the airport to your accommodation. From the airport to your accommodation. You can take a taxi to your accommodation from just outside the main terminals in both the Townsville and Cairns airports. Please be aware that there is no need to barter with the taxi driver, as the meter is always used. You can also contact Connection or Sunpalm transport companies to discuss airport transportation. It may be cheaper for you to travel using these services rather than a taxi. If you're staying on campus, it's a good idea to let your halls or college know when you'll be arriving and to advise them of any delays. If you're arriving after hours, you need to go to the office of the hall and college that you're staying in. Stuck on the door of the office will be a phone number for the residential advisor or RA on duty. Please give that phone number a call and the RA will come down and let you into your accommodation. Remember that after hours in Australia is considered to be anything after 5 p.m. If you're not intending to stay on campus, you will need to arrange temporary accommodation while you find permanent accommodation. You can do this yourself, or we can book your temporary accommodation for you for 3 nights at a local backpacker hostel or motel. If you'd like us to book your accommodation for you, you'll need to complete the online booking form at least 2 weeks prior to your arrival in Australia. Please be aware that you are responsible for all of the costs of your accommodation. There is a $22 no-show fee if you apply for accommodation, but you do not use that accommodation. Before deciding on your accommodation, in finding your accommodation, you'll need to have a look at a variety of locations. We recommend that you start looking for permanent accommodation as early as possible. One really good place for you to look for accommodation is the JCU Accommodation Database. This accommodation database has heaps and heaps of sharing accommodation with other students, granny flat accommodation, as well as units and apartments for you. You'll need to enter your JCU username and password to access this accommodation database. You can also search for accommodation on the websites displayed on the screen. If you're looking for shared accommodation, Gumtree is a really good website to look at. You can also paste some links on our International Student Facebook page to find out if there are any other new international students who are also looking for accommodation, or if any current students have rooms to share. If you're looking to set up an apartment for yourself, realestate.com and domain.com are the best places for you to look. You can also look in the Townsville or Cairns newspapers. Before deciding on your accommodation, we recommend that you check out the Residential Tenancy Authority website, which has all of the information that you need about your rights and responsibilities as a renter in Queensland. There is more information about searching for permanent accommodation in the JCU handbook, including checklists for inspecting properties and choosing roommates. That's a great place for you to start if you're unsure about how you can go about finding off-campus accommodation. Tom, have there been any questions about finding off-campus accommodation or transport from the airport?
Yeah, we've got stacks of questions now, Louise. Let me start at the top. Okay, so Christoph says, I can't log into my computer account. Right, Christoph. All the computer accounts for this coming semester should be activated by the first week of July. Some people's accounts may already be active. However, if it's not yet, don't worry. They're all being done and they'll be done before the 1st of July. And you can go to the New Students tab, as Louise stepped you through earlier in this webinar. Anya says, I am a study abroad student. How do I know what subjects I'll be enrolled in? When are my classes? Okay, Anya, as a study abroad student, you would have nominated your top 10 subject choices that you want to study at JCU. These will be assessed to see if you've met the entry requirements, and you'll be automatically enrolled in your top 4 that have been approved. To see which ones have been approved and which you're enrolled in, you can go into eStudent and see these subjects. Once you know what you are studying, you can go to the timetable page, which is jcu.edu.au/T-table, to create your class timetable. Keep in mind it may look quite busy on the timetable because it will show you every instance of a repeated lecture. So you may only have to do 2 hours in a lecture theatre a week, but there may be 3 different times you can take it. So you may only need to take one 2-hour lecture. Come to the Student Centre and talk to our enrolment help if you've got any trouble. Okay, next one, Vin. Vin says, do I need to send or bring along a passport photo for my student ID? Nope, we'll take your photo. Just make sure you've brushed your hair and you've got a nice big smile on when you come in for your photo. Marissa has asked, do I need to pack a 6-month supply of toothpaste and hair products? No, we do have both toothpaste and hair products in Australia. If you're particularly wedded to one particular brand and you're really worried it might not be here, you could take some, but I would think that you'll be able to find something suitable here, so don't worry about it. Jaylene says, O-Week, what is the purpose? Do I need to attend? Okay, Jaylene, have a look at the O-Week planner, because that will really give you an idea of what happens in O-Week. So on the 21st is the International Orientation. That's mandatory. We will chase you down and make sure you've gone to an orientation if you missed that, so don't miss it. There's also free lunch. Yeah, that's a selling point. The rest of O-Week will be in your O-Week planner, and it's great. You can learn more about JCU and improve your overall experience. There'll be sessions on how to study better, study tips, budgeting, money matters. There'll be many different social activities. The Student Association runs a whole lot of really fun social activities, including postgraduate nights, trivia nights. They've had comedians before. There's always the famous toga party, which you'll have to come and experience. There are also many different other sessions for using the library, having tours of campus. Check out the O-Week guide. It's all pretty good. Right, next one, Marcus. Marcus is arriving in Australia and travelling with his family for a week. Before coming to JCU, does he need to do anything special? No, just make sure you come to the International Orientation on the 21st. Okay, Anastasia says, can I post a box of bulky items to Townsville before I arrive? I want to send my laptop and other things in advance. How can people send me things while I'm living at George Roberts Hall? Okay, you can send boxes to the university before you get here and collect them when you arrive. Address them to your name, care of James Cook International, James Cook University, Townsville, 4814, Queensland, Australia. We'll email you when they've arrived. If you're living on campus, you can have mail sent directly to your hall or college under your name. So for you, it'd be Anastasia, whatever your name is, George Roberts Hall, JCU, Australia, etc., etc. We also have a post office on campus in Townsville for you to send postcards to your friends and family. In Cairns, the nearest post office is in the Smithfield Shopping Centre, which is only a short distance from campus. Okay, Anthony, internet speed on campus, question mark. How do I set it up, question mark. So the internet's pretty good on campus, good for Australia at least. I know internet speeds vary quite a lot around the world. We're not up the top of best internet in the world, so be prepared for that. But the university has a pretty good connection. So if you're living on campus, there'll be a blue network cable in your room. You can plug that into a laptop. There's also a Wi-Fi network across the whole campus. Bring your Wi-Fi devices to our orientation day, and we'll have our info help team do a session in the afternoon, and they'll set up laptops, tablets, whatever else you've got. Okay, a couple more questions before I turn you back over to Louise. Christina asks, if I already know where I'll be living on campus, how can I chat with my future roommates? She then asks, if I don't like it on campus, can I leave and go somewhere else? Okay, Christina. To talk to your future roommates, there's a couple of different things you can do. Keep in mind it is the vacation period at the moment, so a lot of people will be back home. But all of the halls and colleges have Facebook pages. So, for instance, if you're living at George Roberts Hall, you could type George Roberts Hall JCU Facebook into Google, and that will bring up a link for their Facebook page. So that's a way you can do it, or you can post on our James Cook International Facebook page. The majority of international students have liked that page, and a lot of people join it before they arrive. So I recommend you go on there and post a link saying, I'm a new student coming from wherever you're from, who else is from here, or whatever you want to talk about. Who else is staying at George Roberts Hall? Right. Second part of your question was about leaving your on-campus accommodation if you don't like it. Now, you will have signed a legally binding contract to stay on campus, and to break that there's a break fee. It can be as much as $1,000. So be pretty sure that you want to live on campus before you've actually signed that and paid the money. Elle has a question about off-campus accommodation. She says, what suburbs are good to live in? Okay, well it depends if you're in Cairns or Townsville. If you get it wrong, your commute to campus will be very long. The question, I guess, is do you prefer to live near the campus or near the city? So in Townsville, the campus is about 45 minutes away from the city, and the main beach is located near the city. So we'll talk about transport later, but if you want to live within walking or cycling distance of JCU Townsville, look in the suburbs of Douglas, Annandale or Cranbrook. They're all pretty much within walking or riding distance. It can be slightly cheaper to live further away from the campus, but it means you'll either have a longer bike ride or have to get the bus in every day. In Cairns it's a similar story. You can either live near the campus or in the city. The nice beaches in Cairns, however, are located in the north of the city, which is also where the JCU campus is. But if you are in the city, you have closer access to the nightlife and other city amenities, including any jobs that are in the city, pubs, bars, restaurants, or anything else. The closest suburb to Cairns campus is called Smithfield. You can also have a look at the International Student Handbook for other pros and cons of locations to live. Right, that's me done for now. I'll shoot you back over to Louise.
Thanks, Tom. We've now got some tips from our student volunteers about finding the best off-campus accommodation.
I used the JCU, to go in through the JCU webpage for the accommodation, and it was a third-party accommodation person that I went through. My landlord obviously is not affiliated with JCU, but the JCU website is where I found all of my information, and so it was really good, credible sources there, and I have been really happy with my off-campus accommodation. I didn't stay on campus any.
Well, there's a few websites which is very useful for friends share house accommodation, and also GCU provides a web page which talking about off-campus accommodation, and also GCU have a web page talking about in-campus accommodation. So just log on to GCU and search accommodation, and the answer is in there.
I think one of the best tips is getting in contact with the Facebook of the students of the James Cook University, because for example in my case I'm from Latin America, from Peru, so in James Cook University there is LASA, the Latin American Students Association, so this organization helped me to arrive to a specific place.
Yeah, there were people in the international department. They helped me looking for accommodation at the first place, and the JCU off-campus website is the best place to look for students who are looking for accommodation. in Townsville. So yeah, that is the best.
For finding off-campus accommodation would just be to network and talk to people. Gumtree is a very good source for finding roommates. The boards around school, the poster boards, look, there's lots of people advertising on there. But just network with people and make sure that you talk to people that you're going to live with before you move in with them. You really want to make sure you have a good experience, and the people you live with make a huge difference in your experience.
Townsville and Cairns are both fairly easy cities to navigate. You can use the Get Directions and public transport functions on Google to navigate your way around the city. Full degree students are eligible for a tertiary transport card, which allows for 50% discount on all travel in Queensland. That's ground travel. Unfortunately, that does not include air travel. You can also purchase a weekly bus pass from the bookshop, which can make your travel a little bit cheaper. For many students, the preferred method of transport is riding a bike. Students on the Townsville campus may have access to a program called the Green Fleet, where you can purchase a bike. We'll provide you with more information about this program after your arrival in Townsville. You can also purchase a bike really cheaply from many retail stores in Townsville and Cairns. A cheap bike will cost between $80 and $150. There are also specialist stores in both Townsville and Cairns which sell higher quality bikes. If you're staying in Australia for a significant period of time, you may wish to purchase a car. If you are in that situation, please come and talk to the International Student Support Team in the Student Centre before you buy a car, because we want to give you information about insurance requirements, safety, and the best ways that you can buy a car. Now, if you are planning to drive in Australia, we strongly recommend that international students purchase a couple of driving lessons before getting behind the wheel. Driving lessons are relatively cheap, and it's a really good investment because many of the driving conditions and rules in Australia will be vastly different from what you're used to. It's also really important that you consider your budget carefully before you arrive in Australia. For students who are in the market for off-campus accommodation, you may be required to pay bond, which is about 4 weeks of your rent. Now, your bond money will be lodged with the Australian government and will be returned to you when you move out of the accommodation, so long as the accommodation is in good condition and you've cleaned it up after you've left. You may also be required to pay rent in advance. This is usually about 2 weeks. You'll also need to consider if you're starting up an apartment for yourself, connection fees for things like electricity, phone and gas. Also consider your food costs, transport and other essential costs, including equipment that you may need for your studies. This can include textbooks, field trip costs and other equipment that you might require. We have got for you now a really rough guide to some expenses that you can expect while you're living in Australia. This is only, as I said, a rough guide. Your lifestyle will greatly impact on the figures that you see on screen. It is possible to live here very cheaply, but you may prefer a more a different type of lifestyle. So these costs can vary a lot. If you've got questions about what things cost, please feel free to shoot us a question into the chat box or to send us an email. You can also ask other international students what things cost by asking questions on our International Student Facebook page. Now, Australian people have a very peculiar hobby. That is pretending that our wildlife is very dangerous and your life is at risk every time you go outside. Many of you have probably heard lots of stories about poisonous snakes and spiders, shark and crocodile attacks. Now, while it is true that there are some dangerous animals in Australia, wildlife rarely causes a problem for humans. Use your common sense and do not try to touch, pick up or feed any of our native animals. In the unlikely event that you do see a dangerous snake or spider, just back away from the animal slowly and you'll be fine. Most people who are bitten by these animals are trying to play with them. Be alert to signage around waterways. If there are signs that say there are crocodiles in the water, take them seriously and don't swim there. We do have marine stingers or box jellyfish in our waters from November to May. So if you would like to swim at the beach at that time, make sure that you swim inside a stinger net. It's pretty simple. The most common animals you'll see around the place are birds, including bush turkeys, which build their nests all around campus. You'll also see and hear geckos, which are little lizards, and you'll see cane toads. We often have wallabies bouncing around campus. You can see possums, all kinds of different things. You don't need to be afraid of any of our wildlife, just be aware that it is around you. Now, if you would like to organise an Australian mobile phone, Tom's talked about this already a little bit, but I'll just fill in some more details for you now. Our three major carriers are Telstra, Optus and Vodafone. Our students tell us that Telstra and Optus get the best coverage throughout North Queensland. Phones come in two varieties, that is prepaid phones or postpaid and contract phones. The best thing for you to do is, once you've arrived in Townsville or Cairns, take a trip to the local shopping mall and visit the Telstra or Optus shops. The staff there will be able to discuss your best phone option with you. You can also compare phone plans online at the address listed on screen. Tom, did you want to say anything about phones or any other questions that may have come through?
Sure, Louise. I'll just bring up my questions. Okay. Gag and Deep has asked, are there public ways of transport from and to the university that get one around the CBD or close to stores? How much does it cost? As Louise said, there is a bus service in Townsville and Cairns. You can buy tickets on the bus, and it depends how much distance you're covering, will depend how much it costs. In Townsville it costs $4.40 for a full price fare from the campus to the city. If you are a full degree student, you may be entitled to a discount card which will give you 50% off that fare. Unfortunately, study abroad and exchange students, you're not here long enough to qualify for the discount card. Sorry about that. You can also buy weekly tickets and other tickets like that. The details are posted in the chat box for each of the companies. It's Sunpalm in Cairns and Sunbus in Townsville. So go to those websites and you can look at the network maps. The bookshop also often sells discounted bus tickets, so it'll be weekly bus tickets that are cheaper than normal. Check them out. Another transport question from Hannah. Is it difficult to get to the beach from the campus? How are the buses in general? Okay, you haven't said what campus you're from, so I'll answer it for both. Like I said, in Cairns, the beaches are from 15 to 25 minutes on a bus. The closest one is Yorkeys Knob. There's also Trinity Beach and Palm Beach. Out of those, I think Trinity Beach is my favourite of the beaches out of those that I've been to, and that's about 20 minutes on the bus. In Townsville, the main beach is called the Strand, and it's just outside the main CBD. It takes about 45 minutes to ride into the city, and then you can change for a short bus trip to the beach, or you can walk and it takes probably 10 minutes. So while it's 45 minutes or so to get the bus, I ride my bike a lot, and it takes me about 45 minutes to ride from work, which is obviously JCU, to the beach where I live. So as Louise was mentioning before, bikes are really great here. The bike path goes all the way along the Ross River. It's absolutely beautiful. I'd highly recommend, even if you don't live out in the city, getting a bike and going for a ride along at least once in the afternoon. The weather's perfect at the moment. You'll really enjoy it. Karina asks about an introduction to local wildlife and which creepy crawlies to look out for, etc. That's a good question. We always get questions about the wildlife and the creepy crawlies. We will give you more information at the welcome session, the orientation. Like Louise said, just be aware, you don't need to be worried all the time. If you're looking to experience the wildlife, there's a place called Billabong Sanctuary in Townsville. The Student Association runs trips out there, and there's also a wildlife park in Cairns, and the Student Association runs trips out there as well in O Week. It does cost a small amount for the bus and entry to the wildlife park, but often you get to hold a koala or a crocodile or something like that, and it makes a great Facebook photo to make all your friends jealous. Marcus has said, what are the extracurricular activities, sports, societies one can join on the Townsville campus, and do they charge or are they for free? There's a whole lot of stuff available. Clubs and societies are probably the first good place to check out. If you go to the Student Association webpage or check the International Student Handbook, if you haven't already, there's lists of all the different clubs and societies. Now there's generally something for everyone, be it you're interested in playing board games or knitting or playing soccer or scuba diving. Anyone interested in scuba diving? I thought so. So you can join all those clubs. It's a great way to meet people, and some of them are free, some of them you have to pay for activities. The Student Association will be able to put you in touch with that. A very popular one for international students is the Ultimate Frisbee Club. That looks like a lot of fun. I haven't played it myself, but I see the students throwing discs around and they look like they're having a really good time. So that is the answer to your question. I hope it helps. If you are interested in the Dive Club, they have a separate website, and they also, I think it's jcudiveclub.com.au or something like that. Just type it into Google and you'll be able to find the exact one. They can help you organise diving certification. I've seen people practicing their diving out in the pool at JCU campus, and then they can also give you discounted trips out to the reef and stuff like that. So that looks like a lot of fun as well. Cecile asked, is Townsville bike friendly? Yeah, I think it's bike friendly. Like I said, I ride my bike every day home from the university. There is quite a good network of bicycle paths where you don't have to share with cars. The Bicycle Users Group webpage has maps of both Townsville and Cairns with indications of where are exclusive use bike paths and where you have to share with cars. So that's pretty good. I mean, I can ride from here at university in Townsville to the city and probably only have 10% of my journey be on the road. So that's pretty good. Yeah, the weather isn't too bike friendly in summer though. It's very hot, so stay hydrated and take a change of clothes maybe. Okay, anything else? The next one is from Naomi, who's asking about a workout centre in Townsville. So the Student Association does have a workout centre. In Australia we often call them gyms or fitness centres. It's on campus and it is quite a modern facility. The Student Association website is jcusa.edu.au. Now you can find links to all of the services they provide, including information about the gym, and that will tell you the prices. You can either get a single visit or you can buy a 6-month or 3-month pass. I think you do get a discount if you're a member of the Student Association. Inquire with them about that. Okay, back to you, Louise.
Thanks so much, Tom. Alright, well now we're going to talk about how you can contact home after you first arrive to let your family and friends know that you have gotten here safely. Many of our students use the free internet program Skype to keep in touch with their family and friends back home. You can Google Skype to find out more information about how this program works. We do have Wi-Fi throughout our campuses, and we have lots of computer labs scattered around the place. There's computers in the library, there's computers in the student centre. So if you're not bringing a laptop with you, don't be alarmed. There's plenty of places that you can jump online. You can also access the internet in the halls and colleges, as Tom has already said. If you're unsure about how to connect your devices to the internet, you can just ask the RAs and they'll be able to give you a hand. So after you've contacted your family, please come into the Student Centre to register your arrival with us and to get help with things like your enrolment, information about the International Student Welcome Centre session, and your student ID card. Make sure that you take a tour of campus to find out where your classrooms are at, and also visit the library, see how all of that works. Now, you'll also want to explore your city in the first few days. Have a chat to international staff for advice on what you should see and do, and if you've got any questions about using the bus system. As I said, it's all fairly easy, and most of our students manage to navigate it without any problems at all. We're going to have some tips from our volunteer students about things that international students should do in their first few days in Australia.
The first few days that I was here I felt a little disoriented, because even though it's an English-speaking country and I come from an English-speaking country as well, some things are different. So it took a few days, I think, to get used to certain things, the way even just grocery shopping is a little different. So it just took a few days, I think, to get oriented, and it was actually a lot of fun to go out and kind of figure out where I could get what I needed, and go into the shopping centers, and figuring out where everything was really beneficial in those first few days.
Well, I think for the first few days is to get used to the local environment as soon as possible, because this is tropical area. I believe most of us come from non-tropical area, and also get familiar with what's around you, the bus stops, the stores, and where the uni are. That's most important.
My top tips for students in their first few days in Australia would just be to slow down, not take on too much. Don't try to get all your paperwork done and all your classes enrolled in your first couple days. Take a couple days to just orientate yourself with the neighborhood, and go to your local Woolworths and just sort of get to know your surroundings. Don't take on too much in the first couple days, and talk to as many people as you can, and just start making friends.
So we've talked a lot about Orientation Week so far. As we've said, it's the official welcome to JCU, and it's a chance for you to have an introduction to your faculty, to meet the academic advisors, to learn more about your subjects, and of course to participate in all of the social events that happen. Make sure that you do attend a lot of the workshops that we have going on, including workshops about looking for work, adjusting to life in Australia, study skills sessions, assignment tip sessions, all of that kind of thing. We'll show you a brief video now about how you can make the most out of your O Week experience.
It's a really good time, I think, to start making those friends, because even if it's not someone studying in your same major or whatever, that's a really good time to meet all sorts of different people. And ultimately there will be some people that you click with, and you can just spend your time together, studying together, and kind of be an encouragement for each other during those times of homesickness and whatever. But I really think that meeting people, as well as getting to know the university, but meeting people is a really important part of O Week, I think.
Well, my tip is get involved as much as possible, because Orientation Week is really designed for make yourself get used to James Cook University as much as possible. So you can know almost everything about James Cook University if you want, and also you can get many friends by involving different activities. So that's really useful.
Well, orientation week was like really important for me because you see other international students, they can get the information what you don't have, and even mentors over here we get, like they are like experienced senior people, they know what goes on when you come in, so they are the best people. If you come to the orientation, you will get to know the mentors and they will be able to help whenever you need any kind of help.
My tips for orientation week is do everything. It's your opportunity to meet people, it's your opportunity to try things and do things you wouldn't have otherwise done. You'll find excuses, oh, I don't have anyone to go with, go anyways. I don't know what to expect, go anyways. Just do everything you possibly can. You will meet so many great people. And join the Student Association. They're really good with events, they put on a lot of fun stuff.
The best part about O Week was the introduction to the faculty, because you got to meet a lot of the lecturers that you'd have in your first year, and you got introduced to your mentors.
I've never been to uni, so for me I didn't know how to study, and I found these workshops to be very helpful. They gave me tips to know how to use search engines and to read journal articles and how to look for the good ones.
I went to a lot of the library workshops and a lot of the getting started at JCU and getting connected. That workshop helps me a lot with finding things on the internet and learning how to use the JCU website because I use it every day.
I did the top 10 research tips and also the studying at JCU workshops, because they really did provide a lot of information that helped you with your research while you're at JCU.
Most people, when they come, usually have some fairly decent study skills from year 12, but it's just sort of helping you be able to really refine them. I really enjoyed having the mentor group because it meant that, we got to go out and speak with people who are in our degree, who are going to be, in my cohort.
By the end of the week, with all of your faculty introductions and the campus tours, you really started getting introduced to new friends, and you made friends that you'd be with in your certain degrees.
There'll be lots of changes for you ahead, and sometimes it can be really overwhelming. It can help to know what to expect. The first thing that you'll notice is the weather. It'll be warm during the day and quite cool during the evenings. Please take it easy while your body is adjusting. Make sure that you drink plenty of water and stay out of the sun at the hottest times of the day. Even though we are in the deep, dark part of winter for ourselves, it can be still very, very warm, especially during the middle of the day. Also bring a jacket to keep you warm during our cool winter evenings. Jet lag can also be difficult for some people. Symptoms of jet lag can include feeling sleepy or sluggish, having difficulty sleeping at night, difficulty concentrating, and even stomach problems from eating at vastly different times of the day. It can make you feel a bit overwhelmed and confused. The best thing to do for jet lag is to try not to sleep during the day and to get out in the bright Australian sunshine. This will help you to reset your body clock. Staying hydrated can also help. You may experience homesick and culture shock when you first arrive. Many of our students feel homesick even if they've travelled or if they've lived away from their family and friends before. Some students just aren't prepared for the distance and how difficult it will be to contact their family and friends in a vastly different time zone. It's very, very normal to feel homesick and culture shock, and almost all of our international students feel this at one time or another. There is lots of advice about how you can deal with culture shock in the International Student Handbook. If you're having difficulty, please come and talk to the International Student Support Team on your campus, because as Tom said, we are here to help you. Now Tom, have there been any final questions come through?
Yes, Louise. Vikash says, I'm from the USA and work on my home campus. Can I get a job in Australia? Can I get work on campus? Okay, Vikash, there are some jobs available on campus, but probably a lot less employment opportunities on campus than you're used to in the USA. There are coffee shops, there's the bars, there's shopping facilities, the library and the student association. All those places do hire students, but there's always a big demand for jobs. So bring a resume and get in early. As you are a study abroad student, it seems like, you'll be limited to 40 hours a fortnight work. That means 40 hours in a 2-week period. If you are a research student, or if other students are interested, if you are a research student doing a master's or a PhD, you may have different work conditions. See the International Student Handbook. There's a question about dive medicals. Do I need to do one? I believe you do need to get a medical checkup if you're going to go scuba diving. The JCU Dive Club can help you with that. It is www.jcudiveclub.com is the website. Mike's asked about maps of JCU. We've got them on our website, on the handbook, and you can also download the JCU app from the App Store or from Google Play. And that can help you navigate around the campus and stay up to date with what's going on. Okay, well that's the end of the questions I've got. So before I hand you back over to Louise, I just want to thank you all for taking the time to view this webinar. I hope it's been helpful. And keep in mind, when you arrive, you're not here on your own. The International Student Support Team is here to help you. So feel free to come and speak to us if you've got any problems, or even if you just want to say hi. You've seen our faces on the screen, so if you'd like to say hi, tell us how your day is going or how your experience is going so far, we'd love to hear that as well. So I look forward to seeing you all in the coming weeks. Safe travels, and I'll see you on the 21st. Over to you, Louise.
Thanks, Tom. So we're going to have some tips now from our student volunteers about the best ways you can handle culture shock and homesickness.
Yeah, I think finding a really good group of friends helps a lot. It's been what has kept me from being too sad when I start to miss my family. I didn't even know I was able to feel homesick because I've never been homesick before. And I've spent a time away from my family before, but never this far away, never in a different country. So when I would feel really sad or start to feel really, really homesick, I would just call up my friends and we'd go see a movie or just pile up on the sofa together in the lounge and watch a movie together. And that was really helpful.
Just as I said, use a laptop, communicate with your friends and with your family. Also, try to get some friends in local area, so if you are occupied by your friends, you are less homesick.
I think going for a walk, maybe, enjoying the new places here in Australia, the new supermarkets, also the nature, because staying here at the university is like staying in a resource park, because you can see a lot of different species of birds, animals. They're really amazing.
Yeah, the best thing, like you make friends and then you get busy with your studies, don't think about, and there's always internet, you can Skype with them, and then phone, you can call them whenever you feel, homesick. But other than that, like go out, see places, there's a lot of places to see, like Strand, you can go there and then enjoy the beach. Yeah, I think that's the thing that you can overcome your homesickness.
My top tips for dealing with homesickness would be don't stay in your room, go for a walk, put on the earphones, talk to as many people as you can. Talk to people, tell them that you're an international student, tell them that you're homesick. A lot of people have been there, they've been in your situation, so just talk to people and stay busy. You don't have time to be homesick if you're busy doing things.
Now we're going to show you a little something to get you excited about your experience here in Australia. This is a video from last year with some experiences that students had on our campus. So thank you so much for attending our welcome session today. As I said, a recording of this session will be available on the the James Cook University website. All of the information contained in this session is also in the International Student Handbook. So please go ahead and check out that handbook if you haven't done so already. If you do have any questions that weren't addressed during this session, feel free to send us an email at international@jcu.edu.au. We're going to leave you now with some final tips from our student volunteers, but I'd just like to echo Tom's thoughts. You're not alone when you get here. We're so excited that you're coming and we can't wait to meet you soon. So have a safe and comfortable trip, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.
International students, you must go scuba diving. The first time I went scuba diving, I came up from the water and I could have died that day. It was the coolest experience I've ever done in my life. So definitely see the Great Barrier Reef.
In terms of weather, I wasn't fully prepared for the tropics. I thought I was. I read all about it. And you think that you're prepared for the amount of rain that might come during the wet season or how hot it might be during the summer, and if you come from somewhere that you're not used to the summer, it can be really shocking, but it's good. It's really nice weather most of the time, but it can be really shocking if you're not prepared, if you even think you're prepared, but then you get here and then not necessarily as prepared as you could have been. So I think probably I would like to have been better prepared for the rain during the wet season, because I don't have a car. That's the thing. Riding a bicycle was my main mode of transportation most of the time I've been here, or the bus, and so it takes a little bit to get used to the bus system, I think, to learn where everything is. So familiarizing yourself with the bus system can help as well.
Just enjoy your study, enjoy your life. Just don't hold back. If you have problems, talk to people. There's a lot of options and people out there to help. Just don't close yourself inside your room. Yeah.
Wear sunscreen. My biggest tip would be to wear sunscreen. You'll hear lots of messages about the sun being the silent killer, and it really is. You'll notice Australians, you'll think they're a lot older than they are, and there's a reason for that. Definitely wear sunscreen. The temperature here, you're outdoors. You can be outdoors all year round, so just slip, slop, and slap. Wear sunscreen.
Any other tips? Maybe get a bike because it's very useful here. And the first thing is get a bike and get also the road maps in order to know what kind of pathway we should take to go to different places. And well, also enjoy Flinders Street. There is a very nice center in the city that you can where you can dance, where you can meet some friends or take some beers sometime.
My top tips for adjusting to studying at JCU is just take a step back and slow down. Things in Australia move at a slower pace, and at first, depending on what country you're from, it might be a little frustrating, but don't get frustrated. Just embrace the culture. You'll end up being less stressed because of it, and you'll adopt this slow lifestyle, and it'll be better for you in the end.